name is Brittany Arizmendi. I am the Community Engagement Officer for the City of Hagerstown. And in that role, I oversee the Main Street District and the Arts and Entertainment District. I also want to point out a few people here. Leah Carroll, she's on the Community Engagement team as well. And then Rodney Tissue. So Rodney, do you want to give your title and background?
Well, I worked for the city as a city engineer for 32 years and just recently retired, but now I'm the head of the Public Art and Design Committee for the Main Street group.
Yes. Truly, we would not be able to do any of this without Rodney. He's a wealth of knowledge, so we very appreciate him. Even though he's retired, still coming back to help continue to grow the city. So without further ado, we'll get to what you're all here for, which is our artist panel. So if we can just go down the line, and if each one of you can share your name and where you're from, that'd be great.
I guess I have the mic. My name's Nigel Sussman. I am based in Berkeley, California, but I am originally from Pittsburg, Maryland. So this is back in old stomping grounds here, which I haven't been in Hagerstown for years, but it's good to be here.
I'm Kirsten Sandlin, and I'm from Memphis, Tennessee.
I'm Seth, and I'm from Pittsburg, Pennsylvania.
And I'm Jason Tetlak, and I'm up from Jacksonville, Florida.
So we just want to say thank you to each of you for taking the time out of your very busy schedules to come here and be part of our festival that we're having. Hager Fest was a festival over 30 years ago, so we're resurrecting something that used to be and giving it a new flair. We have the cultural trail, which did not exist 30 years ago, so we're utilizing that as part of this festival. And you'll see most of your art is either directly on the trail or very close to it. So the first question I have is, how did you end up where you are today with your art? And if you can speak to, did you go to school? Did you study it? Are you self-taught? Who's inspired you? So if each of you can just talk for a couple minutes about that.
Okay, I guess I get to go first because I have the mic now. I grew up drawing and painting when I was a kid. It was just something that I did all of the time. So I ended up going to art school down in Florida. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio. So I went down to Florida to go to school and kind of fell into graphic design while I was there because I realized that I wasn't going to get a job just painting paintings. Took me a really long time to realize that wasn't a career. There was no want ads in the paper for this, come and paint for us. So I added graphic design and I ended up doing graphic design for about 20 years and continued to do art on the side, just kind of as a hobby, I guess. Didn't really make a living at it at all. And about 8 or 9 years ago, I went down to Miami for the Wynwood Festival, or I guess it's Art Basel in Wynwood. And that neighborhood is completely covered with murals. They're everywhere. And so I decided to do something similar to that in Jacksonville. So I started a mural project there and painted my first mural as part of that. And I kind of thought it would just be a one-off, like my first and only mural. And after I finished, I just kept finding other small walls in my neighborhood to paint and then started getting commissions. And now I do murals full time.
Awesome. Thank you. I grew up nearby Cleveland in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania. I studied fine art at MICA in Baltimore in Maryland. Have some family and folks still in Maryland, so I love coming back here. It's not far from me at all. Then I went back to Pittsburgh and I studied design at the Pittsburgh Art Institute. So I kind of have a traditional arts background, but then also fluent in digital work as well. I sell commissions, do murals, do design work, labels for libations and breweries, and a little bit of everything to stay afloat. I'd love to make murals my 100% full-time gig because that's really the work that I'm most passionate about. It allows me to connect with communities outside of myself, meet new people, Like the positivity and the encouragement you get from painting a mural is something unmatched in other parts of creativity. Like if you have a gallery show, there's maybe a couple people eating cheese and drinking wine and patting you on the back. Here, when you're painting murals, complete strangers are coming up to you and cheering you on. And Hagerstown's been no different, so that's been great for me. Like I'm a lifelong artist. I was drawing ever since I was a little kid, but I just always shifted what area of expertise that I wanted to pursue, and I kind of like that about being an artist. You can be your own lead. Okay.
And Kirsten, before you go, I would say, Phil, you're probably the most visible to my coworkers that were in City Hall. Most of them park in the garage, and they are all singing your praises. So, just want to let you know, you're rubbing off on them.
Perfect. I, like these two, have drawn and been an artist my whole life, but I was told I could not make a career out of it. So I went to school for psychology and criminology and have done some crazy stuff, done autopsies and forensic investigations, and then became a diplomat overseas and lived in Eastern Europe for about 6 years. But the whole time I was doing graphic design stuff and art stuff as a hobby. Came back to the States and started painting needlepoint canvases and owned a business doing that for 8 years and started volunteering with a mural organization. Mostly they brought me in as a graphic designer to do a few things for them, met muralist, and in all honesty, I painted my first mural 30 years ago because my friends would have me come into their homes and paint on their walls. But it wasn't until I started volunteering for the Mural Festival that I found exactly what you were talking about, the encouragement and the fact that there were other artists that I could relate to and that I needed to be around. And so I started painting murals and now finding commissions, and I paint signs and murals, and that's my full-time job now, traveling around and doing what I love.
I get the beginning of my story same as these, where I've just been drawing since I was little, and it's evolved into me going to study art in Pittsburg, and then I transferred to their fine art degree was a little discouraging because galleries and museum model I don't think is set up for success for lots of people. So I transferred to a school in California that had the California College of Arts and Crafts, and where the craft emphasis is what made it different for me. And I studied illustration specifically, which is the drawing with a purpose, I guess, of problem solving. And so out of school, I worked in advertising for 10 years. And then always drawing and finding ways to make things on the side. I was in a band during this time and made all the posters and album covers and t-shirts we did for that, and stuff at work. Whenever there was a need for drawings, I would always volunteer. But then the side projects got more and more until the point where I felt I could go and do just that. And I've been doing that for 14 years, something like that. But I do a lot, being in California, do a lot of corporate stuff. I painted in all of these office buildings. That's made it a viable career. But it's extra rewarding doing stuff for public spaces and getting to interact with communities. And so the privilege of working with lots of with cities and municipalities and public art is something that I'm excited to be doing more of. And so it's a pleasure to be back in my first one in Maryland.
Me too.
Raise your hand if this is the first time you're doing work in Maryland.
Technically, of this scale. Yes.
Yay! Our fifth panelist has arrived
Just in time.
just in time.
Ready to be put on the spot.
Yeah, you get the microphone.
You get to intro yourself. Tell us where you're from, and how your background, how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Wow,
No pressure.
high pressure. Ah,
Here you go, sir.
okay, my name is Leonardo Moleiro.
That's exactly how she pronounced it.
I said I can't say your last name because I can't roll my R's
Yes,
properly.
it's Portuguese, and then I born in Portugal, but I'm moving back to Venezuela when I was maybe 2 years old, and I raised in Venezuela, and then moved to Mexico and Argentina and Madrid, where my mom is from, and then United States. I live in Japan, in Korea, in different countries working with my artwork. And then this is my first time here in Maryland. And then I'm creative director, artist from my whole life. I started to paint when I was maybe 6 years old. Painting always, because I want to just paint. And then I'm super happy to be here with you guys, and then thank you for having me. And then working.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'd like for each of you to respond. So we see a lot of feedback on social media about why we don't always use local artists. Can you speak to that thought and provide any insight on that?
About the local artists,
Yes, about why we don't always use local artists, or when do you ever hear any feedback when you are out in other cities that's not your own? Do you ever hear feedback about not being from there?
wow.
I mean, none of us are.
I have too many stories about that.
Yeah, I feel like if you went to a movie theater, you wouldn't complain that the movie wasn't made by your local players, right?
Good point.
It's in Hollywood or overseas, different country. And so if you want it, or music, or a big band comes to town, or the sports team, if they're playing Hagerstown versus Hagerstown, it's not this exciting. So we gotta share ideas from other places, otherwise it's gonna get boring real fast.
I think that's the best answer. That's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
No, that's a common question, always. And I have a lot of experience working around different countries. I don't know how many, 20, 21, 22. And then I speak 5 languages. And then, but always, that's the same question. Why do you use local artists? And then, for example, I don't know, 3 months ago, I worked in Sacramento, California, and then one guy asked for why then you include more people from California for being inclusive. And then the guy said, hey bro, we are being inclusive. This is a guy from Latin America, another guy from Europe, another guy from China, and then you from California, and then I don't understand the question. And then, why don't we inclusive or exclusive? And then that's the weird stuff about them. And then always, you know, the artists for everybody. And then if you have a nice idea, nice artwork, and then you want to show to the people why you can invite so many people from different countries, and then that's what my part. And then, but that's a common question, always the same.
That makes us feel better. Yes, because really we're like, why is everyone always saying that? So thank you for sharing that. It's good to know that that's not even just across the country, across the world.
I'll add on to that. Yeah, it's very sensitive.
Yes. yes.
I think from an artist perspective also, if everybody's locked into local only, then we don't have a chance to go to these other places to be exposed to other artists. And so I wouldn't grow as an artist seeing different styles and learning about different communities. So not just from the city's perspective about getting more variety of artists, but from the artist perspective also, we need to be exposed to those other things so we can grow our own styles and techniques. So it's important for artists to be able to have the opportunity to lead. So if every community was locals only, I would be stuck in Jacksonville and you'd be stuck in Memphis, and we would never have learned from each other. And so I think that's very important for artists to be able to get out and see other things.
Yes. Thank you for sharing. What inspires you the most when it comes to your art?
Don't say money.
For me, it's like a never-ending learning process. So what always inspires me is experiencing something new. Like I've gotten to the point where it's like the Bob Ross thing, a happy accident. My daughter Persephone, if she was here, she calls it a beautiful whoops. And like learning to like deal with it and not take yourself so seriously and roll with the punches. And the same thing, meeting other artists that you could say, oh, how are you doing that? Well, this is how I do that. Did I learn to do everything wrong? And it's just like a beautiful thing to be able to, learn from each other. And I feel like in the mural arts world, everybody's usually very open-armed, whereas like similar things like street art or like graffiti art, there's a lot of closed doors and gatekeeping within there. And I've always been thrilled to meet an artist that I'm a fan of and they're willing to just share their notes with me. So that keeps me inspired.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And it's learning stuff that's new. I'm always wanting to try new things, and meeting other artists and seeing them do something makes me automatically want to try it, automatically want to do a new style or a new mural. But I also like to go into different communities and find out about the people where I'm painting and find inspiration there, because I think when I leave art in a city, it's for the city, it's not for me. So I like to learn history and about other people and then leave the art for those people.
Yes, well said. And I think that's a distinction that murals sometimes have. It's a gallery, making the environment a gallery, the whole city. And so it's got to be reactive and collaborative with the community as well. And so when I paint in different places, I need to understand the place in order to be able to do a painting there. It's not just me giving my idea. It's about how the feel of the need of the community through my filter.
And I will say Nigel did a great job. Rodney and I met with him once or twice, just giving him some pointers of things that are very Hagerstown. And he did a great job. They're very subtle, but once you find them, it's like, oh, that's cool that's added in there. So he really did a great job receiving our feedback and really making his artwork reflect Hagerstown as a whole.
Thank you. No, it's I'm glad you were able to impart some local wisdom. I have just a higher, without input from people, the locals. Was I guess I'm not a local anymore, and so it adds to the greater knowledge and makes it more specific and more relatable and personal for the people who are actually living with it in their space. Yeah, where do you want to go with this?
It's going better that way.
Just expanding on that a little bit, I'm very grateful that you guys didn't impose too much on the artists, because a lot of times, I mean, we're commissioned to do a piece of art, so we're not ever painting whatever we want on a wall. And it's nice to be able to have some control over what we're putting out there. So we want to add a local flair to it, but I don't want to be told, like, paint a picture of the water tower, because like, why would I paint a picture of the water tower when you can see it from here? Like, I've had that before. And so it's nice to come into a community that's asking artists to put our touch on the walls, instead of just asking me to interpret what they want.
Question.
Do you have a question? Yes.
And on that note, I mean,
how does it feel when you get restricted and you can't just paint what you feel should be there?
It's
Because I know
It's easier
with
to-
an artist, it sometimes,
Yeah.
once you show up, then you decide what's gonna be there, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of us, or at least a lot of the people that I've talked to, we have sort of an advertising or a graphic design background. So for me, it's sort of like an extension of that, whereas this is a customer that I'm having to design something specific for them. So I don't take as much of an offense to it anymore. When I was younger, I was very upset about, like, well, that's not what I want to do. Like, you're paying me to do my art. I should be able to do what I want. And I take it more with a grain of salt now than I used to.
I agree to that. Like, the more experience you have, the thicker skin you got, and the more easy it is to accept criticism or changes. And I generally have no problem making like revisions, like adding in little Easter eggs, elements for people that just wanted a tooth. I just did a mural in Sharpsburg, and the dentist on the wall really wanted a tooth in there. So we just painted a little molar in there, and it made the man so very happy. So, you know, and I was like, look at this amazing wall that I did. It's the little tooth that made him the most excited about it. But the worst is when you get asked to change something when you're on the wall, because then you're immediately like, it's a derailment of your thought process. And you almost have to like sit down, go eat a meal, take a walk, and come back and reapproach it. Because like, I don't know about the rest of you, like when I start painting, I just get tunnel vision and I can't see anything else. I'm not aware of anything else around me. So you say like, oh, that needs to change from purple to green. Then all of a sudden I like are these my hands? Like, well, I'm on a ladder. Like everything becomes like very abstract suddenly. So I think just as long as you approach the artist beforehand, it's very helpful.
I don't even know if I want to add to that. Like that pretty much sums it up. It's when I would do graphic design stuff, I would always submit 3 things: what I wanted to do, what they thought they wanted me to do, and then something in the middle. And it is, you know, I don't necessarily want to do what they think they want, but if I can do something in the middle, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, I feel like a completely open canvas, or to be told I have no preferences, do whatever you feel is best, that is actually that's a trick. Don't fall for it. It's not helpful. It adds the chances that we should hit the target of something that everyone's happy with. It's like shooting blindfolded. Having at least some kind of idea of shared communication, open skies, not help. But yeah, I'm used to having lots of direction, and the trick is finding a way to faithfully interpret other ideas in a fun, in a new way, and then you can keep from getting bored. Have a fun, even if it's not your own ideas. It's still actually I learn a lot. I have. People have asked me to paint things that I never would have even thought of.
Yep. How long has this event?
Like this specific thing,
Yeah.
or the whole festival?
This moment,
This moment is scheduled for 1 hour, and it is 6 o'clock, so you have 30 minutes. If you're going home.
Who brought their kids?
Okay, next question. Outside of what you're doing, so the murals, the art creating, do you have another job outside of that?
Question.
No?
Not anymore.
No.
You want to say no into the microphone?
No.
Okay, but I would like to address this because I do not have another job outside of this anymore. But I have worked in mural festivals where we bring artists in from all over the country, and the amount of other jobs that people have in order to be able to do the things that they love is insane. I mean, we have military, people from the military, we have school teachers, and they come to the mural festivals because that's what they want to do and that's what they love doing, but they have to have day jobs in order to support themselves.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that does other stuff than just murals, but murals definitely the biggest piece of my pie, but at the same time, like I do design work for t-shirts, I do screen printing, printmaking, digital design and illustration. So like even get caught up in like a branding job every once in a while I'll like do some logo work. But it for me, it keeps me interested in what I'm doing and consistently learning. But at the same time, I think I'm getting older and realizing like I only have so much time to practice the things I love. And like I said before, I want to focus more on doing murals.
I am very, very grateful that I do not have a day job anymore, and that I realized that a lot of other artists have to in order to be able to support themselves. So, like every day, I'm like amazed that I'm able to do this and just not have to go and clock in anywhere or dig a ditch or sit in an office. Like I'm so grateful to be able to do this.
So these next two questions kind of go hand in hand with this last one. How often do you travel for painting murals or sharing your art? And what does family/work-life balance look like for you?
Okay. And then,
You first?
okay. In my case, it's like opposite because I'm a fine art artist. We work with galleries, and then I like to do murals. A mural for me is like it's one side of my job. My whole day is working with galleries and then showing my artwork in galleries but always like to do murals because I love share with people and then go outside paint my artwork in the walls and then that for me is super exciting, because the gallery is different. Everything is serious. Everything walk through the artwork, watching and then one opening and then clients, curators, and everything is super like boring. And then for me, like today, I was there painting my background, my primer, and everybody asked me for what are you doing and what is the next step, and then see you tomorrow. And then that's interacting with people for me is important. And then traveling, I spent my whole life traveling with my shows in the galleries. This year I spent 3 months in Spain. In my solo show it's in Madrid, and then I have to paint something in Lisbon, and then I have to paint another mural in Miami, and then right now here, I back to LA, and then goes back to West Palm Beach again, and then it's my process. And then, but yes, it's like I'm starting my whole life painting as a fine art artist, galleries. And then I'm starting painting murals like 10 years ago, something like that. Because the first time the one owner from one gallery in Atlanta, he asked me for, hey Leo, I have a wall, empty wall, back to the gallery. Can you use it for paint something there? And then I never do nothing there. And then I said, you do it? Yes, let me do it. Okay, buy the materials and let's do it. It's for my first time, no? And then like wow, that's a huge format. I don't know what started. Was super. I called my one friend, hey, can you help me? Yep. And then yes, of course, let's do it. And then when I saw for the first time my artwork in the big format, it's different. The gallery is small, and I saw what I love it. I want to keep working in the mural, and then that's my split it between my studio and the, like I call like academic art, like have my style, everything's gonna be clean. My clients come to my studio, watching the artwork, and then another stuff I enjoy too much is go with my backpack, my tools, and then get new places like today, like here, and then that's made me feel happy.
What's the wildest thing that's happened to you you while you were on the wall?
Oh, well, can we finish
Wow.
answering this question?
Well, Susan,
That's a good
remember
question.
that question
Yes.
for a couple minutes, okay? We'll come back to you.
Now I'm thinking about wild stuff. What was the the first question?
Do you travel a lot?
Travel.
What does work-life balance look like for you?
I do travel sometimes. I send like I'm here today, but I paint mostly in California and up and down the West Coast. Even though I'm trying to get more site work all around, I end up coming a few times a year to to the East Coast, but mostly last year in Manhattan, and I've done stuff in Florida and in Memphis last year, and but I was mostly LA and the Bay Area, there's a lot of art there, so that's
Yes.
where the work-life balance is it's painting and drawing all the time, and I'm always making something, which is exciting, and I like mixing it up between being in the studio and planning things or doing bit work. I work on all sorts of stuff like packaging and posters in between bigger projects, but it's really nice to be able to get out of the studio and interact with communities, and painting in public places is really very gratifying, seeing something realized at a massive scale, and which is the appeal of murals, I guess.
So travel, for me, I've started traveling more this year than ever before. I stuck close to home base previously, mostly because we were bringing in so many muralists into my city, and I was getting the knowledge from them without having to leave. But since July, I've been in 4 different states. So now I'm going. It'll slow down when mural season is over, and I'll spend winter at home, I'm sure. I am a single mom, though, and I do have 6 kids, 2 of which are here. So it has been a challenge because they go with me everywhere, and you see they're not afraid to talk to adults or interrupt or anything else, because they have grown up around artists, which is a very interesting community. But my older children, who have watched me be an artist doing other things for years, are incredibly supportive, and they actually will be here this weekend. They live in DC, and 2 of them are coming up. So family life does get balanced, I think. But I don't know a lot of women that travel because it is hard. We're not expected to tote our kids around. And a lot of the women artists I know don't have supportive partners that will watch the kids so they can travel. There are some for sure. But yeah, it's a challenge as a female for sure.
Okay. Well, I think kind of similar, but only have 1 daughter, so my radius of travel is state to state in Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and now Maryland. So I'm very grateful to get out of my neck of the woods. The weather's nicer down here. And then, my daughter's of the age, she's just pissed off anytime I don't bring her along. So like she expects to help and get her hands dirty, which is fantastic. And some jobs that happens, but it keeps you kind of grounded, and yeah.
I travel quite a bit. I think if you're gonna be a full-time artist, if you're gonna support yourself, you have to be able to travel, because you're never gonna find enough work in one spot unless maybe you live in the Bay Area.
Still have to travel.
Still got a zone, yeah.
California's big.
Yeah, I've been to, I think this is my 16th or 17th different state, so I've gone all over the place. Like if there's an opportunity, I'll go check it out. So I've been to Wisconsin, I've been to Ohio, been to California. As far as work-life balance, I've been doing this almost 10 years, I guess now. So my kids are sort of used to it, and I try to plan my out of town trips around what they have going on, so I don't miss too many things. I know my daughter has senior night tonight for her volleyball team, so I'm missing that, but I usually don't miss anything that's too important. So there's the balance works itself out.
Thank you. Hayes, you have your question? What was your question?
Yes. What is the wildest thing that happened to you while you were on the wall?
Wildest thing that's happened to you while you were on the wall?
I like to work at night because I'm in Florida, so it's kind of a necessity sometimes because it's super hot down there.
Yes.
So the weirdest thing that ever happened was I had a homeless guy sing me a song. It's probably the weirdest thing that ever happened. He had nowhere to go. He wanted to hang out. He was asking me questions, and like I'm totally fine talking about what's going on and listening to his life story. And he asked if he could sing me a song, and I was like, I can't really stop you, so go for it. He was pretty good.
I have to ponder.
Oh, okay, great. I've been on a lift and watched cars get stolen. That's always fun because high up, nobody pays attention to what you're doing. So I've had that happen. It's always the nighttime work that the weird stuff happens. I was working in a fairly dangerous area, and I had a guy come out and offer to sit with me, and I talked to him all week long, and he proceeded to tell me his life story, and he had just recently gotten out of jail because he had murdered 3 people, and that was an interesting one. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I think that's probably the 2 weirdest.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, working on large paintings on the streets and public spaces is always meet lots of interesting characters, and I mean that's part of the fun of it. Overwhelmingly positive, but sometimes get interesting questions and meet some people who like to talk and like to hang out and ask for can you paint me in the painting? Or I try not to put people specific, but I oblige when they want something like add my dog or stuff like that. I put it, or sometimes I get the freedom to be making it up as I go along to a certain extent. The designs were the client's chosen a color scheme and stuff, but other than that, they're letting me do my thing, and we kind of react to what people suggest and what people are doing. Weird murals. I did a mural in the Las Vegas airport inside of a retail store there. So I was like living long hours in the airport for like 3 or 4 days, and it was really weird. I don't know.
I've got one of those. I worked in a mall.
Where it's, the time sort of is a warp. Yeah, because you get in the zone painting large scale like this. I paint for like 16 hours at a stretch sometimes, if I'm able to, but it becomes a weird time warp. And that's weird things can happen.
Yeah. Wow. I do too many stuff happening around me. But in Philadelphia, one day I was painting on the street, a mural on the street, like a sidewalks, like a huge. And then when you finish, we have to use a special paint, like asphalt paint. I used to use the same paint with the guys using the NASCAR race. It's a special heavy paint. And then we have to wait like an hour for dry. And then I sit in the sidewalk waiting for drying the paint, and one guy passed with the charger car, and start to burn the tires over my paint. And screaming like, And then my assistant and me just stand up like a, and the guy. And then he destroyed the whole mural in 30 seconds.
Did it on purpose?
I have police, protect us in the next to the corner, but the guy was like getting water, something like that. And then, hey, bro, and they put, and they catch the guy. I don't know, 2 blocks away, but I have to do it everything for the scratch. Yes.
You win.
Yeah.
Yes, Tamika.
I have 2 questions. Being creative, do you ever get like a creative block? And if you do, how do you handle that? And then my second question is, do you guys find it necessary to follow the trends versus just staying in like a niche of what you do?
No.
Interesting.
Yes, interesting.
I mean, I can start on the getting creative block. That absolutely happens. But this is how you break out of it. Being around other artists and talking to them and seeing them do stuff. It goes back to the being inspired and wanting to kind of learn new things. That breaks me out of it faster than anything. Also, having jobs where I have freedom will help break me out of a block, because I get blocked usually when people are telling me what they want me to do. It's just, you start getting stuck. So yeah, definitely. Creative blocks are huge.
Yeah, I can relate. Sometimes have a creative block as well. I feel like sometimes if you don't know what to do, just make a mess and you figure it out on the way. And that's great advice, because your kid making a mess feels great. And what was the second question on the trends? I find it's difficult in this day and age, especially with all the stuff you see online, to get easily discouraged. It's almost better, like I said, to just plug that stuff off. Know the people in your team, the people that are creating and doing stuff, they're the ones that are going to push you forward, because it's you see somebody else running and then you're going to start running too. So it's position yourself around runners and you'll be all right.
For me, the artist block happens when I don't have things to do. I don't know if you guys are the same way, but comes in cycles. So I'll have the last 2 months I was very bored and didn't have much going on, and I just felt like I was creatively not doing anything. And starting with this festival, the next 5 weeks are just one after another. And so getting to do things like this gets you out of that, and you just are forced to do something. You gotta create because it's time. So when I'm in between these lulls where I don't have anything going on, that's when I start to go what am I doing? I feel like I'm supposed to be working on something and I'm not, and then I go to the movies.
Let me get my. Okay, let me try to explain that. I like your second question, because this is I have to approach that every time. Let me try to explain my bad English. In my experience, we have 2 kind of art. The art is 2 paths, different paths. Both is good. Both is a good path to follow. And the artists who work with the commission, murals, and then a design, and then you have different clients who commit you, asking for some artwork. You have to follow some rules, follow something about the final artwork, and then that's good. And another path is the path for galleries, artists, with your own style. You have to sell it or not, but use your style. And then, in my case, I developed my style for 30 years working on it. I have artwork in museums and galleries and stuff. I just work with my style. I don't work with, if somebody doesn't like my style, okay. You don't like? Okay. You like? Okay. But I appreciate both sides. But in my case, I'm super square with my stuff. I know what I want. I know what I want to do it. I never do it nothing without my own style. And I lost so many work with that. People ask me for, hey Leo, can you do? No. Can you do something like, no, my friend, I do it my style. I just spend my whole life doing that. And then, but so many artists do it another, like trends, follow their stuff. That's good, that's okay, that's good stuff. But I'm trying to do it my own. I never follow trends, nothing like that. I develop my ideas, and then I try to don't watch nothing and at nothing. I try to get my focus in develop my own life in my own way to show my artwork.
Thank you. Yes.
If my organization was looking at budgeting for a mural project, what are some of the factors we should take into consideration? And then my second question is, I've kind of been following along with the ideas of your creativity and everything. So my second part of my question is if I pick you or my organization picks you because we like your style, you're against like giving us like a mock-up or something like that? You get my drift? Like,
Yes, can I?
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, the mic.
In my perspective, in my experience, it's like you have to open to. It's mixed with your trends. In some cities, like right now, asking for something like with trends, and then you have to have some kind of stuff like is involved right now, and then but so many artists are working in different style and different proposals. It doesn't have to match with the trends, with what everybody wants right now. Like I don't know how to call it,
I think so we asked for one of our pieces here to be interactive. So Jason's piece is going to be our interactive piece, and I feel like a lot of people when they think interactive, they think of wings.
Yes.
And we knew that we didn't want wings.
It's like a different
yes,
kind of.
Because that's trendy, and what he's doing is probably going to become trendy at some point. He's setting the trend, and we're really excited.
Yes, for example, you have 5 spots, like one spot is abstract spot, one spot a figurative, one spot like a cubism, one spot like a surrealism, and the pop art, like a different kind of the style in the same city. That's cool. And you have the opportunity for different kind of the artists to develop their own style in your place. That's it.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah. Once something's considered trendy, it's already past its peak of being. To try to focus on that, you're never going to hit the target. You're always going to be right behind.
It's like a reggaeton right now.
Yeah. If you just stay true to what yourself and what you like, the trends will all come around. Yeah, do what's best. And as commissioning stuff is a tough job, and a muralist, I feel like for me it's a collaboration. I always do lots of sketches and prep to make sure that everybody's on the same page, and it's because ultimately commissioning a mural, it's not about me. It's not just my expression. It's helping the business or the building or the community show what is important to them, but with my style. And so it's I would never just paint something without the approval of the design ahead of time, or at least the idea of the design.
But you always need to be compensated for those designs too, even if you don't get the project, right? It's important that you're compensated for your intellectual property.
Well, that's one of the big, that's what I was,
Yes.
is designing without compensation is something that I'm guessing we've all run into. So when people want a job done, a lot of times they go, but what would you do here? And I don't want to spend 2 days designing something for your wall and then you ghost me, which happens. It happens. Yeah, it happens. I think it happens to the best of us. Like, we all know that we need to be asking for design fees, but you get excited about a job and you're like, oh, yeah, I want to do that. And I'll just throw something out there and then go, oh, that was dumb. That was so dumb. I can't believe I did that. So yeah, getting compensated for designs is a big deal. I usually tend to tell people that are asking a question like that, look at artists. You shop for artists like anybody else. Don't just go, you're an artist. Can you do this job? Like, look at all of the artists that you can find. Talk to people. See, if you can find somebody that's kind of close to what you're looking for, and then talk to them about it. Because, people ask me for stuff all the time. I'm like, I am not the artist for you. You need to talk to Tunki. Like, he's a great artist for that job. It's not me. And artists have to think too, we're not competing with each other. Everybody up here has a different style. I mean, I can identify most of these artists' artwork. We all have a different style where you don't need to compete against each other. So yeah, if you will shop a little bit, you'll find that, we can better serve you as well.
Yeah, and I think that just questions you want to ask yourself is like the wall condition. Is it nice? Is it on a flat surface? Is it concrete, stucco, brick? A lot of those questions, if you really have an opportunity or a wall, somebody's rebuilding a house and it's falling apart, or it's a concrete wall with holes in it, you could just probably call a local painter, like an exterior painter, and be like, how would you have to paint the outside of this? Would you need a scissor lift, a ladder? Is there like water damage? And a lot of times, they'll have an eye looking at it the same way, like there's problems in it, just for selection of the wall. And then, yeah, I think I agree with everybody else. It's nice to get paid for your design time, and if you're not doing that already, you should ask ahead of time, because otherwise you will end up burning some hours on jobs that could wait.
Yeah, for me, a good rule of thumb is I want you to see my work, my body of work beforehand, so you know the style. Like, my stuff is very bright and very colorful, and it's not realism at all. So if you want it to look like a nature scene, you need to find another artist.
Yes.
And then once you figure out that my style is something that you're interested in, then I want to get paid up front. So whatever your budget is, I want to deposit on that before I start doing the design work. And then once you approve the design, then I can come out and paint it. When you're happy with the finished piece, then you pay me the balance of what's there. So that way I know I'm getting money up front for the design work, and then you don't have to pay all of it until you're happy with the finished product.
Yes.
Which is, so for this festival, that's pretty much exactly what we did. We paid them a deposit for your design, and then after we approved it, so we did see initial concepts. I think most of you submitted more than one, submitted multiple.
Yes.
So then our committee selected their favorite design, maybe a few alterations here and there. Then they got their second installment, and then once the artwork is complete, they'll get the rest of their payments.
Yes, let me
Yes,
finish with,
yeah.
let me,
Yep, we're bringing it back.
It's-
You get it.
and then it's important to mostly when you pay for the schedule, and then you just pay for the schedule, for the example, not for the right to use it. That's important, because that happened with me so many times. And then you pay, for example, you pay $400, $500 for the schedule, small one schedule, for the area, for the place. That right now, okay, I give you the schedule, and then was just the schedule, not the right to reproducer or user or anything. And then that's super important, because and if you contract me, if you have a contract, like right now, the city has the right to use my artwork because we have a contract. We are under contract, but that's the next step.
Yeah.
But it's important. The schedule, like an example, is just example, and you pay me for that, not for user. Okay.
Okay.
And you also just can't give the sample to someone else.
We're getting close to 6:30, so one more
Well,
question.
maybe you addressed this already, I apologize, but it's two-part. What was your most challenging work? And what is your favorite piece and where is it?
Okay.
You have an idea? You have an idea off the top of your head, you should
Yes, my challenging work was in China. Yes, in Nanjing. It's a city like 1 hour from Shanghai. This was super challenging because the language and the city and the food and the requirements about the building, about everything, the permit, the people are really, really tough, and then that's super challenging artwork. But it's spent like 3 months working with that. But that made me happy when it finished.
And what's your favorite?
My favorite? Wow. My favorite. One I made in Brazil. Brazil. That's my favorite. My favorite. Actually, yes, it's my. The way who the people contact me and everything was super fun, and then it was amazing work, and that made me happy too. Yes. Hello. We don't need it.
Maybe ran out of batteries.
Maybe.
Just shout it out.
We have
Yeah.
extra, we're close enough.
Yeah.
to get here.
Totally. What I'm supposed to say? Well, you're supposed to
tell
say your favorite one is the one in Hagerstown.
I don't know because I didn't finish my work.
That's right.
You
It's
can
Sunday.
ask me maybe tomorrow. No,
It's
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yes, Sunday.
It could be Westwood Walls.
Yes.
Yeah. There's always the next thing. I'm always working on something new, and that's the favorite at the time. I don't make them faster than I can do attached.
Most challenging too.
The most challenging. Sometimes, there was one. This double stairwell piece, or in Silicon Valley, that had but it was tricky because often putting in offices, I'm in there with it's like a finish, so the construction workers, and then I'm sort of a glorified construction worker.
Yes.
And so we're trying to match the hours with the foreman, and then the lights kept going off, and we had to do the scaffold inside of the stairwell is particularly tricky, and just I don't know if that's even that challenging. It's just, there's always logistics with anything of a scale where we're painting thousands of square feet, and I work by myself for the most part, so it's just it's challenging just sometimes when it's a big feat that needs to be done systematically, but as long as you don't stop, it always ends up working out.
It does.
I always tell myself, from Finding Nemo, when she says just keep swimming,
Yes.
I just say just keep painting. Like when I'm on a wall and I don't know what to do, I'm like just paint something while you figure out what the next step is.
Yes.
That's also
That's amazing. Just do it.
a block of art block thing is like if I can't think of how to tackle a certain project, just do something else that I do know, and
then
come
come
back
back.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the most challenging is every job. Every job is different when you're doing murals. Every wall is different. Every city is different. Every person is different. So you have to be somebody that can adapt, and that alone is challenging. My favorite mural though is one of my first, and it's my favorite because it still elicits so many reactions and comments. You know, it's been years and people still contact me and say, oh my gosh, this mural meant so much to me, and this is the message that I got from it. And everybody's message is different, which I think is interesting. And in fact, I just got notice it's going in KLM's magazine on the plane. So I'm like, why? Wait, what is it about that mural? But that's my favorite because I do like the reaction from people. That's always going to be my favorite, is that people are appreciating what I'm putting out there.
Yeah, a real hard question. I think I get this asked about like my mural work in fine art all the time, but like honestly, like he said, like face forward, like my favorite piece is the one I'm working on currently. And then as soon as I'm done with it, you know, it's out there in the ether. It's like I don't have to worry about it. It's like watching a child grow up, maybe sending them off to college. It's just like, you know, I hope I did a good enough job that you did what you're supposed to, you know? Like apples falling off the tree once it's off the limb, like the tree doesn't care about the apple, it goes and rolls on its own. So, but I think like with the mural work specifically, there's some special ones, and I like doing portraiture work. So anytime I get to do a memorial piece of someone who's lost someone, like I did one in earnest PA for some coal miners that were killed in an accident in the 1900s. Another one for a family in Washington, PA, where their daughter, who's 21, died the year previously. And then seeing your artwork just like melt into these people's hearts and become a piece of their life, it's like, that makes me feel great and very special, you know, about my craft.
Agree with everything you guys said. Like the next one is always the fun one. The most difficult thing I've ever did was I was working for a dispensary in Miami, and they were constructing and they were trying to get open. So like, we need you here in 2 weeks because we want to open in 3 weeks. And so I dropped everything, rearranged my schedule, and drove 6 hours down to Miami. And when I got there wasn't even a wall. Like the contractors hadn't even built that part of the building yet. And so I had to, And so I had to go back and redo my schedule so I could run back home and work on the project and go back 2 weeks later to finish the mural. And then a week after I finished the mural, they sold the dispensary to a different company, and they asked me to come back and paint over the logo. So I had to go 3 times to Miami to paint one project.
Welcome to Miami.
Yeah. As far as favorite projects go, I like getting a reaction from people. And I don't know if you guys do a lot of marketing yourself and like press releases and stuff, but I always try to get people out to talk about my work. And I did one back home in my neighborhood. Is called Murray Hill. And they tore a building down to expose this really ugly wall. And so I decided I wanted to paint a mural there, and I got permission from the owner. And I painted the words Murray Hill, and I put Bill Murray's face on there because I thought it was funny. Some people in the neighborhood didn't think it was funny, and they started a change.org petition to stop me from painting the mural, which then the news picked up on. And so every media outlet in town was seeking me out. And I was like, this is great. Like, I'm gonna have to start a change.org petition for every mural that I do now just to get the news to come out and talk to me.
All right, so we will close with that. It's past 6:30, so that's gonna be mindful of time. But if each one of you can just quickly share where your artwork is in Hagerstown, where you're working, if you need help, I can help you. So Jason, if you want to start. That way, if you're around the next few days, this is where you can find us.
Mine is at the start of the cultural trail.
It's right across from the Updegraff building that's brand new, so it's
Underneath there's butterflies hanging over the cultural trail, and my wall is right there next to that.
Mine is 25 North Potomac on the parking garage.
Show off.
Mine is, I guess, the back of University Plaza, near the alleyway.
39 degrees north.
You have the latitude and longitude. Mine is on the side of this new Hub City garage. Just there's 2 towers that have the art going vertically up and down.
And then I don't know what it's something.
Yours is the most complicated to explain, but it's in the alley right next to USNH. So it's across the street. You walk down just one building to the left, and it's right before you get to the parking garage. In that alley.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you all. If you have questions, feel free to